All right, as you can see, these problems are long. There's good news in that you always start the same way with a ratio test. And then the bad news is many times it turns into another 2 problems, right? So just be aware that you've got leave lots of room. Give yourself lots of time to do these. Okay, so there's the n plus first term, and then I'm going to multiply it by the nth term, or reciprocal of the nth term. All right, so I'm going to take some time to split things up. So 4x plus 1 to the n, 4x plus 1 times n squared plus 2. Don't multiply this out, right? Because we're just going to be using highest powers. Okay, so I can see these guys will cancel. So let's pull this outside. 4x plus 1, absolute value. And what's left inside here? So I've got n squared plus 2, and then n plus 1 squared plus 2. All right, so by doing the limit of this with highest powers, I'd have n squared over n squared. So this limit would give me 1. So times 1. This is my answer to my ratio test. So if I want it to be absolutely convergent, it's less than 1. So the places that it will converge is where this 4x plus 1 is between 1 and negative 1. So if I subtract 1 everywhere, I'd get negative 2, 0. And then if I divide through by a 4, I get a negative 1/2 and a 0. All right. So now I'm looking to find out these two x values if it's going to converge somewhere. All right, so let's go do it. So I'm going to go check x equal negative 1/2. So I get negative 1 to the n. So I'm putting negative 1/2 in for x, right? So I get a negative 1/2 times a 4 plus a 1 to the n. So this gives me a negative 2 plus a 1. So that gives me a negative 1. So be careful. These two negative 1s, because they have the same exponent, I join them to multiply their insides together. So that gives me a 1 to the n. And you know that's the same thing as saying 1. Okay, what does this sum do? Well, I know I can do an easy basic comparison test on this. 1 over n squared converges by p-test. So therefore, 1 over n squared plus 2 converges by basic comparison test. So that means I want to include negative 1/2. Okay, so the other one, another number I need to check is x equals 0. So if I put in 0 for x, I'm just going super slow so you know what I'm doing. 2 here. So here I get a 1 to the n, which I know is 1. So I get 1 over n squared plus 2. So what does this do? This is an alternating series, so I can use the AST. The terms are decreasing, and I can see the limit as n goes to infinity equals 0. So therefore, this converges by AST. So that means I can include that number. So that means I can include negative 1/2, and I can include 0. So between negative 1/2 and 0. Remember, the square brackets like this mean include the numbers, right? This is another way to write it.